So we are all in understanding that. Ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and your students.
Yes, we understand.
Yes, we understand.
I created a WhatsApp group for so I hope let me okay, can you yeah, thank you. Is everyone not in the group that we created for everyone? If you're not, the class rep I'll give you a link, then everyone can access that. So let us proceed. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Marufu, Mr. Marufu. I'm the one who's going to be taking you through IT, fundamentals of IT. It's a very simple course with very practical applications, but like I said before, this is a fundamental course. So what you do in this course is more of an introduction. So I expect them to do their level best to pass. Not all of us are going to pass, but I would be very happy if all of us pass. It's unfortunate, but because it is a very simple course, so by the fact that it's very simple, Mr. Keith, please stop presenting. So the mere fact that it's a very easy course, and a lot of people take it for granted, but this we can do, this we can do, without adequate preparation. So we tend to leave others behind. But like before, I'm very happy if all of us proceed to the next step. So, like I said before, it's going to be highly interactive. I don't like to hear the sound of my voice. I would want to hear your voices as well. So the more you participate, the better. And you should know, I should probably get to know all of you if possible. So that's one. I'm trying to put a slideshow of everything. Unfortunately, Viringi's were Teams, so we ended up having to use Google Meets, which is not by choice. It's got several limitations. I wanted to make a recording so that we could benefit those who didn't manage to participate, who didn't manage to get to attend this this tutorial, but we have to make do with what we have. So we don't have, where is that thing? Do we have anyone in Marsh West? Ladies and gentlemen, Marsh West, no one. Wange, I'm sure I saw Mr. Wange, anyone from Matnorth? So we only have 3 regions. Yeah, it's fine. So we only have Harare, Gweru, Blawayo, and Mutare. All right, for the sake of time, guys, what is your definition of information? Because we are doing a course called Fundamentals of IT. That means we need to know what information is. So, ladies and gentlemen, what is information? Ladies and gentlemen, information.
Hello?
I think these are facts provided or learned.
All right. Any take information? Anyone else?
This is refined, formatted, and summarized data.
Refined, formatted, and
Summarized data.
okay. So you brought in another term, data. What is it? You know, is it data or data?
Data.
Okay.
It's data, say.
It's data. I think pronunciation differs according to the size of the tongue, but whatever, we are used to data.
It want to use British accent or American accent. So whichever you have to say. So what is that?
Right. From my understanding, data are raw facts. Raw facts which have been like meaningless as information which is not ordered in any way. So these are basically raw facts, just like a collection of names which are not specified what are the people for anyway. So just raw facts. That's my understanding.
Okay. Can anyone give example?
I think examples are results of census, something like that. It is not yet processed. I think that's an example.
Okay. It's fine. So we're saying data is raw facts. No, we're saying data is what? Say, what is data is? All right. Tatua information. So we've mentioned there is the illusion of whatever structure it is that's there. So from data, then data, an example could be, how can I put it? It's unprocessed. It could be census number, my census could be Vic Falls is 30 people. Is meaningless. But now, when it becomes information, we will now further become processed. So to be able to define what data is, be able to define. Alan, please mute your so you should be Alan.
Yes.
Please mute yourself.
Trying to mute, but it's not working. Okay.
Oh, thank you. We now have data, we now have information. So we've moved from data to information. Tell me now what knowledge is. Knowledge.
Driven, interpreted upon, and acted on.
Yeah. This is very, very critical answer. No, it's okay. That's correct. So from knowledge, what's after knowledge? Okay, wisdom comes after knowledge, and so now, what is wisdom? ayimoka wisdom and it. So what is wisdom?
Process to utilize, not
No second.
Matisse, knowledge.
that. I think wisdom is the ability to utilize what you have learned, which is knowledge, in a productive way.
Yeah, you guys are saying very, very theoretical answers. I was hoping you would put answers from your own understanding. But anyway, that is fine. And I would simply say wisdom. Wisdom comes with experience now. You have done something several times, now you know. Okay, someone gave an answer, your wisdom. Okay, this is just me trying to pick your mind towards what we're trying to do. So we now have information and understanding of information. What about technology now? Let me pick someone who hasn't said anything.
So I believe technology, that the tools which we use to make certain works easier.
All right. So how is technology different from innovation?
So I believe with innovation, it's an improvement on existing technology. Because, for example, if we were to say the wheel, with the wheel, innovation came in from a wheelbarrow, then a car.
All right, that is correct. That is correct. So basically, what we are trying to say is we are finding means to improve. So on those definitions, the data is also interpretation of what knowledge means. That's the doubt. Mr. Alan, please mute yourself.
Repeat that.
All right. So all of that data and whatnot, those things you can get in the module, and I'm sure everyone has got a basic understanding of what it is. So now, Panapapagan's technology, the application of scientific knowledge for practical use. So what this course, what information technology really simply means is we are finding scientific knowledge for practical use for information, for information, be it dissemination, be it storage, be it transmission, be it whichever way. So you know that if you look at it, everything that is IT related is information somewhere, somehow, which need to be either stored, manipulated, or kept safe, or transmitted, or you have to do something to the information. Take for an example, computer. So now which brings us to something called a computer, which has several functions associated with it. But at the end of the day, we are mainly concerned with information. Take any field, be it telecoms, you're mainly supposed to be transmitting information. Be it people who do security, you're just securing that information. If you're doing cyber security, you're securing the channel in which information is sent. If you're doing machine learning, you're basically trying to teach a computer to learn something on its own so that it saves someone work how that they're supposed to do. At the end of the day, it's got a core information. You take big data, you're storing huge sums of data, and when that data is processed, it becomes information. So there are there's a lot of fields that all of you can venture into, but this course is just the backbone. What you're going to do after is entirely up to you. The sky is the limit. There are thousands of jobs that you guys can do. Databases, that means you're now storing that information. So everything that is IT, everything that is IT related, we have got an aspect of information. So that's the bump. You are going to find yourself a definition which best suits you. But at the end of the day, you need to understand what information is. So according to your module, is there 3 components: the computers, communication, and know-how. So let us first look at know-how. Know-how is your fields, like we have been trying to say. The definition says what and when and how IT is used to solve problems effectively. Using IT tools, the need for skills with some understanding of when to use IT for problem solving. So basically, we're saying those are the jobs that you're going to partake as soon as you're done with this course. There are several jobs that you can get, and there are several fields. A lot of people assume if someone is doing IT, it's going to be just one thing. If you need to exit that mindset, because there are a lot of fields that are associated with this course. And trust me, as you, for an example, right now you're doing distance education. That's a field. Information technology. That's a field. You're doing introduction to programming. That's something separate. So already you're part one. We've separated IT into the introduction into 3, and you're still in the introduction phase. So those are the briefly some of the things that are there. Bitcoins and cryptocurrency, those are blockchains. There's a lot. Read around it, and you discover that there's a lot that needs to be done. Communication networks. Anyone to give us what communication networks is all about? If someone doesn't volunteer or volunteer someone. Belinda, what is communication network? Belinda. Hello? Anyone to give us communication network?
Devices whereby they will be sending and receiving data. Basically, maybe in the of data.
Now we're saying there are 2 devices and you want to send information.
Communication network is used for.
Yes, Belinda.
Communication network is used for sending and receiving.
That is correct. So we're saying that 2 or more devices. So you have agreement that you sit on. Oh yeah, we're going to define computers. So you've got the document that's sitting on your computer. So how do you get that document that's sitting on your computer on someone else's computer? What it's going to be further split into parts of this course. Let's just say that is for me, because the itself is how can I put it? It's a tutorial course. There's a lot to be said. Another bit. So what is the difference between a network and a network and in simple terms, it is the connection.
I would say the difference between I would try to internet. I think internet, it is the communication of two two or more different autonomous systems, like a different domain of computers. Intercommunication between the groups of computers.
It's
Can I weigh in on internet?
Yes, sir.
My understanding when we talk of the internet, we are talking of a group of networks joined together, right? I don't know if we have jumped into large ones. For in our homes, we have of a LAN network that's a local computers connected together through a central point that would where we connect our mobile phones wirelessly. The route that we have a network. Then we move from that network connecting to our internet service providers, thus going to a wide area network. Now that's an internet network where we multiple networks over connect devices, smartphones to make one big network. That's my understanding of the internet.
Okay. So you brought in two terms. You brought in LAN, you brought in WAN. So now there is something called a topology that you guys now need to understand. We have read and seen something called topology in the modules or our readings. Chiri project topology and a bus nana star UI. That's where this is not coming from. So the simplest definition you can give, since this is introduction, I'll accept is internet is probably a connection of networks. That I can accept. Then a network is simply a nodes and everything, but still for the purpose of this course, it's acceptable or accepted. Now my question now is it possible for someone to destroy the internet?
No.
Can you come again, say?
Is it possible for someone to destroy the internet?
Basically, no, it's not. It's not something which is owned by a person. A person that they own their side of the network, so we can't really say a person can destroy the internet.
So what do people mean when they say internet is down?
Okay.
Right.
Internet is down. What do people say? If I can't destroy
the internet, the servers will be down. That's when
it's down because you don't have to the other connections. Simple, basic reason. You can't say road yakavara because you get rakavara. If you get and say my road yakavara, you can't destroy the internet, and internet is never down linked to the other. So basically, the reason is because the resources will be only there to share resources. That is the major reason that was created. Anyway, so we're coming. So computers. The computer. Let me find someone who hasn't said anything.
Yes. Can I define?
Yes.
A computer is an electronic device which processes data according to instructions.
All right. All right. Give a separate.
It's a device that is used to store and process data, and it uses machine language in the zeros and ones. That is binary.
They introduced binary. We that's number system where we're going to look at number systems. So panzi process, panzi store, panzi display. So that means there's input, there's output, and there's processing. And so that means a computer, it's a system. So this is my advice. whenever tackling a question or something like that. Nikita Donga, yes, right. So as a computer is a system.
Yes.
Each and every system has an input, a processing, and an output. Literally in every system, a respiratory system, you inhale oxygen, you process it in your lungs so that it diffuses to the blood, and you inhale carbon dioxide. That's a system. Digestive system, you ingest food, it's processed in the tummy, then waste comes out. That's a system. So literally each and every system is set up in such a way. So you have input, you have processing something, and you've got an output something. So input, that's where devices come into play. We're going to come up with a list of input devices, and there's something called the system. We're going to have someone define a system unit for us, and we're going to have an output devices. And so this means everything that needs to be put in a computer is done using an input device. There are several input devices. There's keyboard, there are mouse, to name a few. I'm sure you guys know a lot of input devices. Output devices now, these are just devices that are used to display what is either stored in the computer or what is what you'd have inputted. So output devices, that's where projectors come into play. That's where we have monitors come into play. So my question to you guys is, what are devices that can be both input and output devices?
Or a USB device.
What?
Touch sensor.
Very good. Touch screen can explain flash drive, sir.
So a flash drive, we can use it to store information, right? And
Yes,
then when
so
you want to,
yes, we're listening. Yes.
Okay, so I was saying a flash drive, we use it to store information, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then at the same time, we use to extraction on a certain computer.
Okay, so if you can explain to me what storage device is.
Okay, so a storage device is a device which we use to store information or data. And
So
then
you
for
give me
future use or
examples.
for come again.
Examples of storage devices.
We have a CD-ROM,
CD-ROM,
external hard drive, a floppy disk, right? And USB flash,
so,
which we use.
So you're saying flash drive is a storage device, yet you're saying it's both input and output.
Okay, and vice versa.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I heard someone. It's a basic conception because it's portable, and I use it to. I plug in and get my document. It's simply a portable storage device. It's like saying you're carrying an external hard drive. The hard drive won't change to be input and output. Output is in actually display information using it. Input is actually type. Keyboard you can type. Like you're saying, touch screen, you can do all sorts of things with touch screens. And it's both input and output. So what other device can act as both input? I don't find someone who hasn't said anything. Marlon. Printer.
Yes, a printer, you can print, it's an output. Then when you scan it, it's an input.
So you mean all in one, I am a scanner and a printer?
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense. I'll take that. That makes a lot of sense. One last device.
Sir?
I think a speaker.
A speaker.
Yes. You can
Is that not an
record.
output? Huh?
I'm saying I think it's it does both output and input, a speaker. Because you can play music, it outputs the music, and you can also record the music using a speaker.
I think he's trying to say microphone.
Microphone. You know record on the output.
Church no dance run my police in them.
That makes a lot of sense. So you see what I was trying to say, Kuti. There are a lot of real live examples that you can apply these things to. So it's not yet okay. It does think about part 3, but for now, most of the things you know. So what of a camera? Can it not also work as both input and output?
Yes. The digital one, not the analog.
Yeah. So we've mentioned something. We've talked about input devices. We've bit about output devices. So now, your assignment wants you to differentiate between the types of monitors that are there. Is it assignment 1, assignment 2?
Assignment 2.
Assignment 2. So monitors display unit. There is LCD, liquid crystal display. There is LED, liquid light emitting diodes. There is CRT, crystal cathode ray tube. Cathode ray tube ndozi TV so we can't be talking about cathode ray tubes, and those were invented in the 80s. Those things are way older than that. We need to talk about. So now, what I want from that assignment, I want you to explain to me LCD work. Explain to me how LED works. That is basically that assignment. I get someone and 5 pages for that assignment. I'm not for that question. I'm not marking it because maximum it's a page. So basically, you're just supposed to explain technology behind the LCD. If possible, evolution from where it came from to how it is now, and advantages and disadvantages of LED, advantages and disadvantages of LCD. They're quite a lot. Disadvantages, to put it into academic perspective now becomes something, but it's quite simple. Some of my advantages and disadvantages. So that's what I want from that assignment. So there's a reason why they moved away from LCDs into LED. I want you to explain. It's not very difficult. So we're not going to dive too much on that. Someone mentioned storage devices, could be flash, hard drive, ROM. So now, what are the type of hard drives that we have? Marlon in just okay. What are the drives that you know? Marlon. That's fine. So, hard drive. it has the revolves within it. And auto tender result if you hold it, you can actually feel rotation. So that's that hard one type you had the hard drives, the hard drive. It is slow because every memory has, so when you're accessing information, when those things are rotating, it of time. So someone got an idea to do away with those rotating disks. There's something called a solid state drive. So this solid state drive doesn't have rotating components. It is fast when it comes to accessing machines. So when you use, most people normally put posting on those solid state drive, then hard drive becomes storage, because each has several disadvantages. The advantage of a hard drive is not very cheap. It's quite cheap. Solid state drive, if you, for those people who have actually sit around, solid state drive is expensive as a 2 terabyte. So the difference between storage is quite fast. So solid state drive is expensive. That becomes relatively cheap. But hard drive might be cheaper. Solid state drive is expensive, but solid state drive now, the disadvantage is the storage is still small. I don't think they have gotten from a solid state drive. I'm not sure. I'll have to check. But hard drive now, they can store quite a bit of information. They can store a lot of information. So that's another disadvantage. Advantages of solid state drive can come in. They can be very small in terms of physical size. Hard drives, you next then you've got those small ones on my laptops. So it's something that you need to look into, the advantages and disadvantages of solid state drives and hard drives. The rate of solid state drive is quite fast. It's more efficient. So we do something else, the connections. Now we've got input device, we've got output device, we've got storage devices. We need to a way for these things to communicate together. That's the invention of a motherboard. It's called a motherboard because it literally came from the word mother. Mother takes care of the kids. I know Anababa they do, but and a motherboard has got a lot of female connections in it, ranging from USB to PT2 to even those slots, your PCI slots and everything that's there. So means that everything needs now to communicate with the motherboard. So keyboards, you guys know USB port, one of the most universal means of connecting things. Monitors or external drives, they connect to the motherboard using what's called VGA cable. You are going VGA, you are going to figure out what research on what VGA cable is. And quite recently, there is that was what means HDMI cable. It's a high definition media interface. And this is Google it.
Yes.
So it's each and every device has got a means to connect to the motherboard. You need to know types of connections associated to what device. Which brings us to the motherboard. The motherboard is set up in such a way that it gives how can I put it, a way. It makes it easier for my external connected and my internal devices to be connected. So you're going to discover that board is simply a lot of chips and okay, I've got a hard drive here. what we had. Okay, look at this. Internet drive panel. All right. So this is your typical hard drive. This is a terabit hard drive. The 2 terabyte. So it's quite small. I'm going to make some corner. That's a hard drive. And a hard drive is connected using these ports arapa. So
yes, sir.
One of the ports brings power, then the other one is called a SATA connection. So it's one of the connections that is used to connect to your motherboard. And this thing is not open yet. And this is called your RAM. RAM stands what?
Random access memory.
Random access memory. So there is evolution of this of RAM from now we've DDR4. Again, we now have DDR5 and DDR6. We still on DDR5. Alright, that's fine. Basically, what RAM does is connect, and that green thing that is the motherboard. My laptop. We're going to do comprehensive course on permanent computer hardware for those who are computer hardware. But for now, I just want you to have a basic appreciation of some of these things. So we say the RAM is random access memory. The types of RAM they moved from DDR1 to DDR2, DDR3, going forward. Each company makes these are slightly different because they have a computer data. My memory chips are wonder, but can I 5 gig? 1 gig RAM is 1 gig RAM. Can I 2 it 2? It doesn't matter whether it's big or small. But if you feature 3, you can't put there one on it. In RAM and so now to something that Farah mentioned. She said 1s and 0s. Computer talk using 1s and 0s. My computer and CC language, they normally deal with binary, which is 1s and 0s. Important for you to know numbering system from binary, octal, decimal, and hexadecimal. The difference between them is numbering system. Binary is just 1s and 0s. Octal no pa 8 pa 7. Decimal no pa 9. And decimal no pa F. We are going to do this in detail next tutorial. I need you guys to understand numbering system because you need to be able to convert decimals to binary and hexadecimal and vice versa. So listen now to you guys. Why is it we have never there is never a hard drive or a RAM chip in a 3 gig. Yes. Why do I for a hard drive in a 3 gig? We only get 2 gig, 8 gig, 16 gig. We never have 3 gig or 7 gig. Why?
Sir.
Yes.
I think it's because mafambiro anoita arrangement yematongerwo akaizwa mabinary it moves in twos, so it's 2 for 6, it's 2 for 8, 16 2.
So work with this. It's not 0 from 2. 4 from
4.
8. You're very right. You're very right. Storage yes is stored in binary form, so they follow that. So work with me. 0 to 2, 34, 38, 30, from 8 to 16. Even hard drive. It's either 1 or 2. From 2 to 4 tera, from 4 to from 8 to 16, from 16 to 32, from 32 to 64.
Hello.
From 32 to 64, 64.
128, 16, 32.
128, 256, 256,
512.
512,
1028.
1028. So
1028.
Thank you. So 1028 when ndiye wamunoti 1 gig where it's 1 gig is not 1000 meg. It is 1028 meg. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Keith. It is 1024. And so that's our one. So from 1024 to what 248 and 2048. So my storage hard drive, bit hard drive or RAM, it follows that set of rules and guarantee. Sorry guys, I'm Paris, I just like to talk about everything so that you're not confined to knowledge of just this course. We have RAM, we have our motherboard. We need something to what is the purpose of RAM? Guys, can you say RAM?
Well, RAM, the purpose of the RAM is to temporarily store data or instructions before, during, and after execution.
All right, so after, during execution.
Yes.
No, that's fine. So temporarily storing data because if things be very difficult. So information is retrieved from the hard drive, temporarily stored in your RAM, so as while it's being processed by the processor. The processor could also be called your what? Your those unit.
Yes.
So very important that now if you differentiate between RAM and storage, my hard drive, you need to know the difference between those things. Normally when I look for differences between something, I normally prefer a table. So you should know the difference between RAM. Now there's a certain type of memory called cache memory. I'm going to give you this as homework. Cache memory, how cache memory works. I'm giving you it. I'm giving you that as your homework. You're going to tell me what cache memory is and what it does, and how is it different from RAM. And there are several types I report. There is, I think now there's cache 3, I think. Yeah. After that, there is something called ROM, read-only memory. Let's hear Mr. It's more or less the same, but cache memory is faster. So now, like I said before, you are going to have to go and read, and someone is going to present. And I'm going to ask someone at random the next tutorial we're going to have. How does cache memory works, and how is it different from RAM? So Tapa ROM. Can anyone tell me what ROM is? Read only memory. Its purpose.
Okay. And phone ka ndona opportunity and ndiyo no store OS ye phone is it saka kunda computer ndakuvhiringika manje.
All right.
Now I think the ROM.
Okay.
I think ROM and it is a low storage device that you have the machine and it come up that type and everything. Low storage purposes. That's what I think.
So is that ROM? Remember something called a CD-ROM, DVD-ROM. Magambochin's one did.
Yes, sir.
You know, not CD-ROM, that is ROM. Read-only memory. You're right. But you're right, but I need is it's storage. What does it store? How to store it? And if it stores, how is it different from storage devices we've been talking?
Okay. I want to suggest that ROM is a type of sort of, what is the opposite of volatile?
It's non-volatile.
Non-volatile, perfect. So it's a non-volatile memory that the user cannot sort of alter or change the contents that it holds. So if it's maybe say a ROM chip or ROM, CD-ROM, whatever, it means that I can, as the user, alter the information there. The computer can only read what is there, and that is it. And by volatile, I also mean that this type of memory does not lose its contents when maybe say there's a power cut, like say maybe a RAM does.
So we're saying RAM is volatile, ROM is not volatile.
Yes.
Okay. That's okay. Yes. That's okay. I'm also learning.
Just a quick question.
SD-ROM is now a device which allows computer or a motherboard to access information from CD. CD is non-volatile. CD you unless you have something called a rewritable, what you have on the CD cannot be, what you have on the DVD cannot be changed. So it's, look at it in that way. ROM read only. You discover there is PROM, which is programmable only. There is EPROM, is what?
Electronica.
Visible, programmable ROM.
EPROM.
Electronic erasable program.
That's fine. That's fine. So you're going to have to distinguish between those types of ROM. We're not yet to see. So tell me, guys, how does a computer switch on? What happens when I press the power button? I'm doing the press the power button. What happens?
The computer does a power on self-test.
In short, it's called a course.
Yes.
So power on self-test is whereby it checks. Also, I'm going to mention your vehicle upon keyboard.
I'm sorry. It's called the what?
Power on self-test.
Power on self-test.
Self-test.
Oh, self-test.
So in power on self-testing, it's a set of instructions or which checks for hardware components and software hardware components before it switches on. So if there's no hard drive, it alerts you that there's no hard drive. If there's no RAM, it alerts you there's nothing. If there's no monitor, there's nothing it can do. It can probably give you maybe several beeps or something. Then we have something called CMOS. CMOS. Guys, what is CMOS button? No, I didn't say but. I said CMOS. I didn't say CMOS but.
It's a CMOS is a
CMOS. You are breaking up.
It's a cheap CMOS memory oxide.
Yeah, it seems network is bad.
It's a complementary memory. It's really bad. Iron oxide semiconductor.
CMOS is memory that stores BIOS settings.
BIOS settings.
And time.
So my BIOS setting. What are BIOS? What is BIOS first of all?
Okay.
Basic input and output system.
So CMOS stores those BIOS settings. The reason why Magetsaka and your time Irasa is because there's a battery that's inside that's always there to keep settings and guard. So you discover if you remove the battery, those BIOS settings they revert to settings. So I need you guys to understand power on self-test to easy next tutorial. Next tutorial we're going to be doing a bit of polishing up on the things that are tower. So I need you guys to understand BIOS settings. A BIOS setting is key. I need you guys to understand what a CMOS does. I need you guys to understand my processes and it come post in detail. And it so will run up a booting process. That this is, remember, this happened before the operating system is called. So are we agreeing? Madam, class rep, we are agreeing and party.
Yes,
we
we
agreed
agree.
and it.
Yeah.
So I need you to list the things that we said you guys are supposed to read about, so that when I ask BIOS, CMOS, post, attachment, that's your assignment.
Catch
Technology
memory.
used as a catch memory, so we are all right. And most of these things, like I said before, they are pretty basic. We're in agreement on it.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we're talking of computers. What are the type of computers that you guys have? I can tell module so that you guys think outside the box. The module. This one. Hello, guys. It is no module and that.
Yes.
Good. So microcomputer is defined. Mainframe is defined. Supercomputer is defined. Workstation is defined. So now my question: what's the difference between a workstation and a mini computer? What's the difference between a mainframe and a supercomputer?
I think
Supercomputer.
microcomputers are usually for
Output. Ndo ma main
Let's first.
Okay, I think microcomputers are usually for small laptops and what, but for supercomputers are used for bigger use, for bigger computers like mainframes and whatnot.
All right. So are you saying a workstation is a mainframe?
Yes.
I might disagree. I'm politely disagreeing.
On mainframe.
Okay,
put
so
my mainframe I found.
I found what?
I had to my mainframe I used my banks like is my savers.
You can use a workstation as a safe, but it depends on the purpose. That's its intended purpose. Machine wako pass auto host a website there becomes a web server.
Yeah. Ndafunga kuti pakuti inokwanisa kusimudza.
So the web server, any machine can file server basically. So this is just a clear indication that you guys read, but you didn't understand those things. All right. So is a cell phone a computer? So where does it fall?
Yes, sir.
So a cell phone would fall under microcomputer.
Computer.
So mini computer would refer to like my laptops.
Can I weigh in on mini computers?
Yes.
Basically, when we talk of mini computers, right, computers are usual. They are classified using their processors. Microcomputers, they use microprocessors. Those are our PCs, our laptops, and our smartphones. Then we have mini computers. These are computers larger than they are larger than our normal PCs, in the sense that they use multiple microprocessors joined together to make one computer. Those are what are mini computers. They are relatively smaller than mainframe computers, right? Due to the number of processors in in that same computer. That's the difference between microcomputers and mini computers.
That's okay, sir. We're in agreement, and I appreciate the fact that you brought in processor into it. Remember, most of these things, they have got a different task that they perform. That is where the major difference is. The duties that that thing is supposed to do. Are we in agreement? So you can't put a big process on something that's just for basic use. It's not feasible for you to put let's say your Core i7 10th generation on a cell phone.
Yeah, that's true.
It defines the purpose of the thing and costs also. So the difference is in one size, 2 processing power, 3 purpose. It's purpose. So a calculator, is it a computer or not?
So I would say it's a computer.
So it needs to fit in somewhere there. And storage also is something to do with this. You guys go on the internet, Google data center, Google data center Facebook. My mainframe anoshandiswa IBM. You see what I'm trying to explain, what I'm trying to bring about. These things are very different. I don't want this to just to be strictly academic. You need to put what is what you can able to apply it in real life. To end up YouTube, there is a documentary, a data center, a Google, the Facebook, and the IBM. You get to understand the difference between mainframe and supercomputer. So now let me bring in something else, much. There's something called a quantum computer. Quantum computer.
So should I attempt an answer on what it is?
Yes, sir.
I believe it's a quantum computer. It's not used to answer my rules, or we're now applying quantum mechanics to process and co-processor quantum computing. So it's now we're no longer limited by tingati binary, but rather we're now using quantum physics. to process data and information at even faster speeds.
It's to increase accuracy. Yes, I'm agreeing with what you said. Okay, the one purpose that I know that is being used, that a quantum computer uses, is time. Time seems not to be very important. It's time. But a quantum computer, time when you set time, let's say it's like now, if I ask you what time it is, someone is going to tell me it's 11:36. Someone is going to say 11:34. I'm going to say 11:35. And yes, that's a 1 minute window. That's a 2 minute window. But when you're doing several processes, for an example, GPS, time becomes of utmost importance. The quantum computer is accurate to the, I don't know, to not my hours, my seconds, my milliseconds. It is very accurate. You guys, do you know GPS uses time?
Yes.
How does it use time?
I didn't.
Real-time tracking, sir.
But
like, so right now, if I activate Google Maps, should I enter right? The GPS innovations are real-time tracking, so that it's able to do the way I am to pinpoint my location.
Okay. It uses time when it calculates the time it takes to send and receive signal, then it triangulates my booster, repo, and if you research, if you read about it, there is a lot that's there, but time is very important. So quantum computer for those, because it increases accuracy to pinpoint exactly where you are. That's fine. Ma embedded systems anenge akaita semanje. No, now I'm just looking at it. What are the operating systems associated with microcomputers, mini computers, workstations? My operating systems, until we've got Windows, we've got Ubuntu, that's Linux.
Yes.
Apple, we've got my embedded systems now. We've got tailor-made operating system. So we need which operating system fits where, because it doesn't make sense for you to put Microsoft Word. Put Windows 10 on a supercomputer. It doesn't make sense. And now, normally servers, they've got an operating system. Then my workstations, PC, they've got their own operating systems. Anyway, so we've classified computers and data. Now I need the benefits of IT. Everyone knows them. Literally everyone knows them. Tinofana, you should be able to list at least 10 benefits of IT. I wonder. We have been talking about them from the time that so I don't want us to even talk about them, because guys, benefits. All right. So now we are on the CPU, the components of computer, input, we've got output, we've got processing, and we've got storage. And so but we were actually touching on a lot of things. So this is basic storage. You input devices in those that inputs information or data to the computer. Your output device is now one that displays whatever it is that you would have wanted to display. Now my question now is, everyone who's looking at that diagram, what's wrong with that diagram?
Output it will pointer back into the processing rather than outside.
That's good. It's something that's so that's that diagram is purple. So we've talked about input, we've talked about processing, we've talked about output and advice. We've talked about storage. Now we need to talk about the CPU, the central system unit. We talked about the system unit, so it's accommodated RAM and a ROM and the motherboard. And so now we need to talk about the process. Ukapin field to the CPU, they mean that system unit is the CPU, but that's not the CPU. The CPU is the central processing unit. That is the actual processing occurs. That's the process. And how my microprocessors are made. You fascinated. It takes as easy as data. It's not as easy as welding. It's a process. You answer a clean room, a room where you're not even allowed to hair follicle and on the processor. It messes up the whole. So you just for interest sake, just go there more one. I think just put it by my vista. More how fascinating it is, how fascinating these things are. So super microprocessor and it unit what's it called, CPU, Tapa CPU page. So the CPU is divided into processor control unit, arithmetic unit. That bunch, that those two are memory. It will be that's the collection here. CPU. So in that CPU processor, it processes information, but it's yes, that's true. But now we want to figure out how and what is processed when. So processor processor. Okay, the share process. Which has one data called hardware. How many of you have a computer? What adventurous? Vakavhura computer.
In the gun.
I have multiple times actually.
So mukaona processor kake ndoka patanga tichiti processing what, processing this, that is it about those paunovhura, let's say this is how basically it works. Paunovhura word document pipeline. Your word document is stored in storage, the hard drive, but it is rather stored in the RAM. It's a somewhat an interface between hard drive and processor. So it temporarily stores that document in your hard drive. Hard drive create for RAM. Iyo pamunoona temporary files and everything. So those things will be communicating frequently. So the processor is the one that's in charge with processor and knows to cut and how everything. So that is the brain of the computer. You're going to do more on this, pamchaita, what's it? you have a basic appreciation of what your processor is and it. So control unit, the component which receives input signal information, instruction, the things you can read. Then control unit, then those are the duties that it does. I'm sure module.
Can we just a layman's language on just describing how the control processing is also? In a layman's language, maybe to understand how the control processing works and the arithmetic unit works. Hello. Hello. Hello.
He's away from them.
Okay, from the group, maybe is there some just explain how the control processing works and the arithmetic logical unit works, just in a layman's language or in the real?
All right. The control unit in that processing thing, from that diagram that he posted there, it sort of forms the entire on program instructions. That's the control unit. It doesn't really do any process itself, but it rather directs other. It sort of directs to how to execute programs. And then the arithmetic logic unit just deals with the arithmetics, basic arithmetics, plus, minus, multiplication, and then the logical operators, and so forth.
Okay, thanks.
So is the come back, or we are now just stuck here doing some discussion?
He didn't give a notice.
Okay. Nonoka kuita log into the program. If there is someone who is free, who has been here at the beginning of this lesson, who could just do what they've just seen, we can be on the same page.
We talked about storage devices and in output devices. Hello?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hearing you. You can go on.
Okay, so someone say on input devices, we can have an input device and output device at the same time, right? Where we touch screen. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Okay, so when we discuss about input and output device, were you there?
Yeah, where a part of it about input devices. There was this section where the lecturer was trying to, or was asking questions rather, on CMOS, BIOS. I think I made a mix up there. I didn't get it quite right.
Okay. So guys, in the I did record it, so it might be others.
Yeah, that might help Shama because let you can get a trip at no wait anything.
Yeah, I think it's like it's 1 hour 26 minutes now.
Yeah, still okay.
Thanks for
I hope I did record audio because
guys, sorry, what do you think about these discussions on our own?
I think it would be good if we could probably just discuss them on the group. I'm sure we're all on the WhatsApp group. At times, maybe we can just share ideas and bounce off questions on each other.
I think that's a good one.
okay, one thing which I have noticed, right, a lot of people don't know how to access the application, the Google Meet. So there's need of a tutorial on how to download the application, right, install on the phone, and the other version on the computer. So that's something which is useful. Then, if people are okay with it, we can arrange a time, right, whenever they install the application. Then we can present and talk and discuss about these topics. Yeah. And one thing, so say mention that when we're asked to give okay, when we're asked to differentiate something, right, we should always, let's say we want to differentiate a solid state drive and a hard disk drive. We have to write them into a table format in Word. That's what I remember how to discuss today. So anyone available to talk? Listen.
Pananzi class review. National bonzo the book title for other subjects.
Off your mic.
Hello? Hello?
was asking a question? No, someone just asked a
Guys,
question.
which question?
No, someone just asked a question.
I was asking kuti the other modules, is it possible to teach these kind of tutorials? Because I know Batsira, especially what the presentation of work and so forth. Vafanana na nasta kutozoti kana uchi present differentiation in a table and so forth. Saka pananga nzi class reps and achinobvunza kuti
Yes, nice.
Oh, okay. I guess did he take or na lecturer wacho?
I think it's best for the first one, the lecture, the layout of these, at least one with each and every lecture we have the 4 modules. Then mamwe atokwanisa kuita tega we can as well just do, but the first one it would more ideal to do with the lecture.
Okay, so I'll look for the numbers and I'll ask him.
Yeah. So anything left to be done?
I don't know.
Okay. So I just want to ask, who's up for programming tutorials? Like more discussion.
That's what Marvel say. We should have similar discussions with the lecturer. Oh my God. And find out
Okay, let me
what
just
the
type.
lecturers like and how they want their work to be presented and what they on the first tutorials, I guess. And then we can have some when we're just like the students.
I think is no kwasabatsa kuti tiite matutorials edu tega. Then iripo ndeyoti I've noticed kuti mugroup kawanda kacho tinongoplana and then hapana chinozombo kana pane solution kuti kwanisa
So guys, I'll see you next time I'm going. So remember, take the video on YouTube because I'm going to upload it.